Things are getting active in the tropical Atlantic, but we're talking mostly about fire danger today in the western U.S. So we have a couple air quality alerts across the U.S. Fire season, northwestern Minnesota, also southern Idaho and southeastern Oregon seeing some air quality alerts. A lot of fires in the west and also some Canadian wildfire smoke. That's what's blowing into the Minnesota side of things. You can see moderate to unhealthy air across parts of Minnesota, but especially here some thicker, denser smoke across parts of Idaho, Montana, into parts of Oregon. Numerous fires in that area in the west and then scattered fires elsewhere. It is fire season, but of course fire seasons have been getting longer and more severe as we are heating up the west. Red flag warnings across South Dakota, Nebraska into Wyoming today, and then Idaho, Nevada, Oregon, also parts of northwestern Utah, meaning the conditions are favorable for fires to ignite and spread. And we've been seeing a change in that fire season, as I mentioned, anywhere from 2 to 8 weeks longer fire weather days in parts of the west and southwest because of the increase, again, in that hot, dry period. And it does account for a significant portion of our billion-dollar disasters, especially in the summer months. Wildfires are taking up a big chunk of the disaster dollars. So it's an important thing to try to mitigate and to try to understand, in addition to all the other things that weather can do as far as disasters. But the biggest risk to homes, no surprise, in the west. The whole west and southwest is where we see the biggest risk to homes and property from fire, but also power lines. So these are all breaking down all the elements that lead to those disaster dollars. Texas, California, and then the whole Northwest as well. Power lines are exposed to those potential fires, as well as roads. We don't think about it, but fires, that intense heat does damage roads. So Texas, California, again, some of the top spots there. But some piece of good news for 2024, the vast majority of new power is coming from renewables this year. So that is a hopeful sign as far as mitigating some of the climate change element that is contributing to or increased fire danger. Several spots that we're watching in the tropical Atlantic, we talked about this a couple days ago, but one storm in particular in the Atlantic could turn into a tropical cyclone. These are the probabilities over the next 7 days for several of these areas, anywhere from 10 to 30% probabilities that they become tropical cyclones. So not necessarily likely just yet, but this time of year, watching any of these areas with a very warm Atlantic could be something to consider here. But a couple of areas in particular concern here that are close to the U.S. That might become tropical storms here in the coming week or so. So that's what we'll be watching there. As I mentioned, severe weather for the plains. The central U.S. looks pretty minimal here over the next few days, luckily.